Hello, this is Angelia, and you're listening to or watching the podcast, Why You Do What You Do. Podcast that talks about human development and psychology to help you maybe figure out a little bit more about why you do what you do. And yeah, I've been gone for a little while because we're on fire here. It's been so hot. I've not been working, and my tech's not been working. And today decided maybe it would. The air's been on for several days, so it's gotten the house cool enough inside where I guess, things are feeling a little better. Definitely not good, definitely not cool in here. Last time I looked at the thermometer in the living room, it was 85 in here, so, but things are working and, it doesn't feel as bad, so I'm making things happen. Now, last time we were talking about socioeconomic status and race and ethnicity. That's a sore spot for some people nowadays, but there are extenuating factors such as socioeconomic status and different, things that come into play in that area. So it's just a fact. And we're going to take up there today. The associations between income, education, living conditions, and health help shed light on this relatively poor state of health in some minority populations. Because, of course, if you don't have the money for health care, you can't afford the health care. I used to go to some of the clinics, and they're not the best places to get health care. Sorry, but that's a fact. Young black adults are 20 times more likely to have high blood pressure than young white adults. And that is a genetic factor, and also stress plays a factor in that as well. And African Americans are more than twice as likely as white people to die in young childhood, in part because young black men are about 7 times as likely to be the victims of homicide. And that goes back to the socioeconomic status, the neighborhood that they're living in. Ethnic differences in health are not wholly attributable to socioeconomic factors. So, like I said, there are, lifestyle and genetic factors that play a part in these things. For example, although African Americans smoke less than white Americans, they metabolize more nicotine in the blood, are more subject to lung cancer, and have more trouble breaking their habit. And again, that's a lifestyle and genetic factor that really has nothing to do with the socioeconomic status, because cigarettes are expensive. So, they're willing to get them because, they're addicted. Possible reasons may be genetic, biological, or behavioral. So, they have not done an in-depth study that hadn't, this little study here is noted. Shoo-wee. Getting warm sitting here. Got my little portable air conditioner here blowing on me, but it's not doing the job. In a study of coronary risk factors among women ages 30 and under, Caucasian American women were found to have lower cardiac risk factors than African American or Asian Indian American women, and to engage in more physical activity. That's just a lifestyle thing right there, and a genetic thing. The African American women consumed more fat and cholesterol than the other two groups, and had higher percentages of body fat and higher body mass indexes. Now, I've listened to some sociologists talk about the reason why African Americans eat so much fat. It's comfort food for them from the days when there was slavery, and that's what they got, was the fat, the parts that the masters didn't want. So that's what they got to eat. And to them it became comfort food. Just like our macaroni and cheese or mashed potatoes or burgers and fries would be. There are different reasons. But like I said, when it comes to fat and sugar, your brain likes those things. Yeah. So sometimes you have to use your own logic to outweigh the brain's natural instincts which are these things are good for me and they make me feel good. So, you know, especially if you know you are predisposed to having problems with cholesterol, you might want to dial it back on the fat a little bit. Disparities in most indicators of health lessened during the 1990s for most racial and ethnic groups, though not for American Indians and Alaskan Natives. However, racial and ethnic disparities in deaths from work-related injuries, motor vehicle crashes, and suicide widened. So, you know, the American Indians and Alaskan Natives are not getting the best health care. You know, I'm sure there are people who might want to argue that. I don't know. Most people in America are not living on reservations. Most people don't have to go, you know, outside of where they live to get health care. You know, so of course, you know, and if your socioeconomic status is pretty low, about low as it can go, then you ain't got the money to pay for health care. So for those folks, that's still a big problem here in good old USA. So, you know, and again, deaths from suicide, accident, there's still a gap there. And again, if people are depressed, they're more likely to commit suicide, of course. And if you're out doing things, you know, that you probably shouldn't be doing, but, you know, it's a way for you to make money or get your living, you're more likely to have an accident, running from the police or whatever, than someone who's not. A congressionally mandated research review of more than 100 studies found that racial and ethnic minorities tend to receive lower quality health care than whites do, even when insurance status, income, age, and severity of conditions are similar. Now, I got kind of an insight on that when I was on an SBDM committee at one of my sons. Well, all my sons went to that school, but at that point in time, only one was. But anyway, there was a woman, and they were talking about, you know, teachers and things like that. And a discussion came up about good teachers not wanting to teach in our West End, which is a predominantly black area. And a little heated discussion got there. And I was just like, whoa. But if that is kind of representative of middle class white America, then maybe the doctors and nurses who are coming up might not want to work in those areas, just like the good teachers, they call themselves, don't want to work in those areas. So if you have the A and B students wanting to go to the higher money areas, and you have the C students going to these other areas, the care is not going to be the same, is it? You're getting to get lower quality care. Now, there are good doctors. I've met a few when I was going to clinics and taking my kids to, you know, doctors that, you know, are affluent people living in the East End, and they're coming, you know, to do some good because they're decent people and they care about other people. And that, you know, shows. So, you know, there's still a disparity. And, you know, honestly, in my opinion, if we were like Canada, I'd pay the 50% tax. That's fine with me. If the government paid for health care, roads, education, if the government paid for all that, I'm down with that. And then everybody would be equal. Everybody's care would be equal. Everything would be equal. So, you know. Go away, bud. Name Jesus. Gender. Which sex is healthier? Women or men? And now a lot of people go ahead and say women are. One reason this question is hard to answer is that until recently, women have been excluded from many important studies of health problems that affect both sexes. So they haven't done bug, go away and name Jesus. Full of gnat flying around in here. a lot of studies involving women with the same, health issues as men. And we're going to go back to the 50s and 60s when they started doing all these testings. And unfortunately, in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of sexism. That's why I have a problem with these people who say things like, let's make America great like it was in the 50s. That's interesting, because from what I've studied, it was only great then for white men. If you're a woman or minority, it's not so great for you. Just saying. But we know that women have a higher life expectancy than men and lower death rates throughout life. And I heard a doctor say one of the reasons for that is men are all too willing to eat fat. Women, not so much. Women kind of prefer the fish and chicken, most women, there are more and more women now who are, eating on the steaks and the hamburgers and things. But, most women I know, we prefer the lighter food, the fish and chicken meat, so we're not taking in as much fat. So our arteries are lasting a little bit longer. Oh my goodness. Oh. Women's greater longevity has been attributed to genetic protection given by the second X chromosome, which men do not have. And before menopause, to beneficial effects of the female hormone estrogen, particularly on cardiovascular health. So, we're protected genetically more so than men are. Now, there are some men who have, there was a case where a man had two X chromosomes when he was born a man. He ended up having a sex change, which, makes sense. If you are born genetically a woman, you're going to feel like a woman. Just that's how that works. No matter what you look like, if inside of you you're a woman, that's going to come out, because looks can be deceiving, as they say. But we are protected more so before menopause by our estrogen. So, you guys are at a loss on that one. However, psychosocial and cultural factors, such as men's great propensity for risk-taking and their preference for meat and potatoes rather than fruits and vegetables, also may play a part, which of course we just said it did. So, you guys might want to cut back on that fatty food and, eat a few more salads and some fish and chicken like your wives. Despite their longer life, women report being ill more often than men. And I think that's because we're a little more in touch with our bodies than men are. We have more nerve endings, and therefore we feel things more than men do. Like I said, back in the good old 50s, we were just talking about a while ago, women might have been described as histrionic, and but it's like, no, we're living in this body and we feel things and we know what we feel. They're more likely to seek treatment for minor illnesses and report more unexplained symptoms. Because like I said, we care about our health. And if we notice there's a change, then we want to know why that is. And also, like I said, we feel more things going on inside of us than men do. However, when men do feel more serious things going on inside of them, they definitely can complain. I realize men are not good with stomach aches. Women, we had cramps every month for 50 years or however long you had it. Probably 40, 45, depending on your deal. But we're used to cramps. We're just like, oh god, and taking our Midol and trying not to kill you, because of PMS. But you let a man get a bellyache. Whoa! Oh, my belly hurts. Okay. Men, by contrast, have longer hospital stays. And part of that is because they wait so long before they do anything about their health. And their health problems are more likely to be chronic and life-threatening. Again, because they're not taking preventative measures like they should, like women do. Sorry, fellas, it's a fact. You know. And, that's where I'm going to leave you today. So help you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. And, kind of take care of yourselves out there. Please like and share this educational program so we can spread it around the world. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. That's all for now. Until next time.